like just you need you to mark it off in the kind of like mid-May, that we will do studio training, right? And so you have to already now this you must decide on the groups. If you, let's say you didn't like the cooperation of your current group with the formative one, make a change. I'm saying immediately, right? And then you have to decide on a group of four. Actually, I would like three. Three people would be per group, right? So I'll tell you why. I'm saying for your F3, you have to obviously do the show, and then there'll be a presenter, there'll be a news anchor, and there'll be a producer. And as I've said before, just to recap, you will rotate those roles if you want to. So I'm saying if there's two presenters, they will have to rotate between shows, live shows, and then let's say the producer only wants to be a producer, they can stay as a producer. But if there's someone that wants to be a news anchor and another one that wants to be a news anchor, you will rotate those and so on and so forth, right? Try and like I say, suss out, because this is it's dedication, obviously. And the thing is, because when we schedule you, I will schedule you in your classes. I'm saying your class times. That's when you'll do the shows. But the thing is that you can't do the show where if someone's missing, or if two people definitely on you can't do it if two people are missing. So you got to obviously dedicate that. You have a limited amount of time. You can again kind of like suss out exactly who was dependable in the first, obviously this first experience, right? Okay, all right. So do you not want to carry on about that much longer? Let's go into lesson 28 today. So it is once again us delving into further like the aspects of yourself that are important, but are also again translatable to business aspects and business outputs. The way that we understand the nature of a character and a personality as an intangible object. In other words, we can't touch or feel our personalities, yet they at the core of making any type of money and growth and revenue, like we have the personality as the center and core and the reason for why those things happen. That's why you will be like a cream of a crop, that is selected should you move to commercial radio, because you stood out one massively as a unique individual that really understands and has a lot of confidence, and really knows how to also take advantage, or really like kind of capitalize on all the your great traits. Do you understand? But also don't forget that this is a profession. So the profession is made of soft skills, sure, but then at the same time, like soft and hard skills include things that you have to practice and have to obviously acquire. So hard skills obviously are things like, the way that you create content, the way that you understand like an audience, how you decide to construct and use a specific caller, obviously the way that you run an interview, again, the soft skills on the empathetic side of understanding how to connect to different types of people, to understand exactly how to communicate, information to your listener, to really understand also like you as a like you have to practice like being someone that's likable. These are soft skills that you would find like on air. Off air, you have your team. Are you a team player? What does that mean? Like, and how do you encourage and stand out and obviously contribute to like a cog in a massive kind of mechanical infrastructure, right? Of other people and other processes, right? So today, again, this is something that comes up. The character profile comes up in I think the S1, right? So in the S1, you're going to have to write a character profile. That's I think about 300 words, nothing more, nothing less, really. You got to kind of average it to there. And again, you're going to say, but we did this already. It's about the where there was that selection of like, what do you drink? What do you eat? What do your eyes look like? This is very different. Okay. That was a starting point, and this is moving on to understanding how to, again, kind of procreate some attention around your skills and your strengths. And again, how do I capitalize and then also again transfer like a soft skill or an intangible or something I can't touch or feel aspect of myself into like something that that I can basically form a picture of that showcases that type of thing. So for example, your experience is super important, and your experiences, so not only experience in what you do for work, but the things that you do out of passion and what you have done will say a lot about you, and also will help you when you go for an interview, because you got to always have a lot more to say about anything that someone asks you about yourself than what they were expecting to hear from you. So in other words, I'm saying, like, you know yourself best. You're the person that spends every single second, like, of every single minute of every single hour of every single day, etc., of every single year of your life with yourself. So there is no one in this world that can talk more about the subject matter of yourself and know yourself so intensely well. And obviously, like, through your battles, internal battles, and self identification and self actualization, like, you will know exactly where you fit amongst the versions of yourself, and then kind of start to harness kind of that great power that comes with that, right? Okay. You have to ask yourself, who are you? What is your point of view? What do you stand for? How will your personality translate to a show? Like these are questions that are super important. Who are you? That is that is a difficult question to answer because you're so many different things. I, I went to, I just got hired at the Voice Institute up here in Oxford, like here in Joburg, just this week, and I went in to go have a chat to the general manager and stuff like that. And obviously, they ask, like, at any interview, it doesn't matter what age and obviously your experience, whatever, and they would say to me, they said to me, like, tell us, like, we want to obviously get to know you before we obviously start working with you and start assigning you to different companies and stuff. And they said to me, like, what do you, can you talk to me about success? And I said to them that that's very difficult to actually pinpoint what's better than another thing, because it is actually about how the success starts to define who you are. So I would, instead of trying to do a very like, this is a very metaphorical question now, who are you? Because you can be like you can spend like eternity trying to answer that question. I said to them, the only way I can describe who I am is through these very specific moments that defined like very clearly who I am, in terms of success, but rather about, like, let's say, determination, about downfalls, about how I got up again, about like my connections with certain people or certain situations or people in situations, like the way that you understand, you start describing yourself, and they like the answer, obviously, because I know it's the correct answer as well. And it's also not kind of orchestrated. I didn't plan to. I just knew how to speak the truth of yourself in a obviously structured manner. So you should start thinking about who you are in the aspects of what you do, what you feel, what you say, what you think, like, and start really figuring that out, because that should be a really easy answer. You know yourself, like I say, better than anyone else. Okay. We'll go through a bit more as we move on. So this is a bit of so this is an example of, like, let's say, character profile, but I don't want, so this one's a bit silly. It just was an example that was given part of the prep, whatever it is, right? Johnny's both sophisticated and corny. Like, he has the latest electronic gadgets, knows how to use them, His sense of humor and style reminds you of Jon Stewart, but he often elicits groans with his corny punchlines, right? So I'm gonna do another one, and I want to stop, and I want you to tell me why, like, parts of this are irrelevant to describing a character profile, which is a culmination, a joining of, right, professional and personal. Okay, he's easygoing, open, and approachable. Listeners feel that they can tell him what's on their mind and even argue with him without offending him. Johnny relies on the audience to contribute to most of his segments. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly, just on pause there. What didn't you like from what you can see there in the first 2 points? Like, what do you feel is irrelevant or silly to include in a professional character profile? Let's go, Angie. What do you think? Hello. There you are.
Um, Based on the two,
Yeah, just on the turn, we'll do the rest. Yeah.
um, I didn't like the part where they mentioned that he's corny.
Yes. It's silly. Right? It really is.
Yes.
Corny is also a very. It's such a. It's such an old school urban term. Do you understand when I say urban dictionary term? Like it doesn't. Like corny is. It's almost like South African old slang, and it makes it look. Yeah. Okay. Let me keep quiet. You're correct. Corny is not right. Yeah. Continue.
And I also don't see the need why they had to mention that he has the latest
Yes.
electronic gadgets.
Right. Yeah. Rather, how would you rather use that? Like you would change it and say, like Johnny is like is whatever strongly, I don't know, educated or well learned in new technologies. It comes easily to him. He has a podcast on, like that is called whatever Tech Me, whatever it is, right? Like to show that there is some kind of output from like your interests and your hobbies and your passions or whatever it is. Like if you're so passionate about something, I'm just saying to you, like as a media practitioner, you can't help but to express yourself. Really, that's the thing. Like so whatever sector like the students are in at Boston, the idea is that because you're so passionate about what you do in some way, like you guys are journalists, like you will do something about it, especially when no one asks you to do it for them, right? Because you don't need someone's permission or approval or like you understand, like yes, please do this for me. You don't need to do that anymore. Like we don't live in a world where again you have to do it for someone, for a company, for whatever it is. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to CBC, right? Just give me a second. Oops, it's the wrong one. uh Sure, but just give me a second. I'm opening up different apps. Okay, sure. Let's go to the other one. Okay, so Johnny never crosses the line of good taste, but allows listeners and other characters to push the limits. When they do, he reacts with surprise and disgust. I mean, like this. Okay, so I will do this one. This alone, like, I mean, shows me that he is fake. You understand? Like, why must you do that? Like, I'm just saying to you, why must you have a planned like, how can we include that in there, as opposed to saying that he has very staunch views about crossing limits when it comes to like interpersonal discussions, race, like sexism, that type of stuff. You understand? So that we can understand where Johnny lies and we can start getting this picture of who this person is. Johnny never insults the listener or talks down to them, though other members of his show do. This is a joke. I'm just saying to point it out, almost like in kind of like admiration for patting himself on the back for not talking down. He must compare himself to the fact that other members of the show do, but he's obviously too good for that type of thing. I'm just saying, obviously, you're not supposed to talk down to your listener, but the thing is, you must read this, must be restructured. Johnny connects to a listener, whether they, it doesn't matter again of their creed, color, race, whatever it is, class, like rather put that type of thing in. Okay, I'm gonna go this and I'm gonna go and ask you. He is obsessed with movies from all eras, particularly classics from the 40s and 50s. He hates cooking and eats most meals at fast food restaurants, which contributes to his constant battle with weight. One last one, you can give me some feedback. There are hundreds of personality types. Okay, never mind. Never mind. That's where we end there. Okay, so give me your feedback on that last point, CBC.
So I don't think it was relevant that they mentioned his weight.
Right? Yes, definitely. Yeah, right. I mean,
Just
it's
that
like,
obsessed with movies.
right, again, yeah. So, I mean, like the thing is, tell me how you would turn the movie thing again into, because again, like you would expect someone that is so passionate about movies to be creating, again, like a podcast series on I don't know the breakdown of or the unknown facts of the biggest movies in history, or he should be a movie reviewer for a big company, a big newspaper, a big whatever it is. Like these are like if you're so passionate, how passionate are you? Do you understand? So we want to obviously include accolades in there, things that obviously have been awarded to you. Again, we would bring in. We have to personalize this obviously this character profile, but I always say meet wait Tinder meets LinkedIn. Now, neither or of those particular platforms actually give you all of a nice, well-rounded view of this person that you're looking at. You understand? Because on Tinder, they're going to put on like stuff that's super personal. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? If they do include, and it's normally kind of short-winded. Where on LinkedIn, you don't even get to explain yourself. Like you, all your like your attributes are explained through your accolades, right? So where you've worked, what your certifications are, what your skills are, like, and then your posts obviously are how we're supposed to determine on. The idea of building a character profile is to bring the professional and the personal aspect together, and always think, why am I mentioning this? Just like I said in the interview, in an interview, they will say to you, and I mean, I didn't want to roll my eyes because like I'm so clever and stuff like that. But the thing is, just because in every single interview, like the interviewer is going to say, tell us, like I say, like tell us about you, right? Okay. And the thing is that you've got to now understand that they want all the parts that are professional. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? They don't want to know about your fight with your sister or your estrangement, like your estranged relationship with your family and stuff like that. Or they don't want to know, they don't care about what you thought of or what type of kid you were, or whatever it is, unless you can actually turn that into something that is actionable, like actionable in terms of a professional setting. So if like you started, let's say, fine art literally at the age of 3 4, you were featured in a gallery, and you are applying for, I don't know, fine art position, whatever, in where I'm not too sure what positions are available, like an animator or whatever it is, like, you know then that's important to obviously mention from a personal point of view. Okay. Uh yeah, just give me a second. Uh Okay. All right. Let's continue. So so there's a ton of words that can start like your understanding of yourself, right? Are you funny? Are you sensitive? Are you concerned? Are you chauvinistic, trustworthy, geeky, relatable, dry, confrontational, informed, sarcastic, funny, witty, droll, wimpy, in touch, bold, zany, reserved, quirky, honest, corny, right? Sophisticated, cocky, clever, caring, outrageous, naive, opinionated, quick, sincere, goofy, wild. I'm going to go through all of them. Outgoing, off the wall, confident, dirty, compassionate, on the edge, spontaneous, like to party, out of control, connected, friendly, brash, caring or daring. Sorry, crazy or daring. Um, if I'm so I'm gonna go to let me go to see. Okay, so Teddy, tell me tell me three of those that you know you are. Any three of these that you know that you are from this list.
So sensitive, yes.
Yeah.
I'm caring, I'm clever.
Okay. Give me another three. You're on a roll.
Uh, uh, I'm opinionated.
Hmm.
Uh,
Are you sophisticated?
yes, sir.
Yes, you are. Are you friendly and or spontaneous or on the edge or compassionate?
Yes, I'm compassionate.
Right. All right. I want you to turn that into a just a sentence to say that that's something that describes you in a way that becomes like useful. So in other words, like tell me why like wh- like how are you compassionate? How do you know that you are compassionate? How can you
So,
guarantee that as a personality trait?
uh, I think I listen to other people and I
Right.
some relate to what they're saying, but then I don't show. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, no, you're getting there. You're good. Okay. You're saying you're opinionated. In what? So in which sectors are you strongly opinionated? So in other words, where does your passion definitely lie when you are bringing up like you're contributing to a discussion? Because that's opinion is a good thing. Being
So
obviously, yeah. Tell me
no, I'm asking like different industries or so it
anything
also
that
in
yeah.
the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tell me. Yeah. Anything in conversation, and like I say, it's certain. It could be world aspects. There could be, like I say, socioeconomic aspects. It could be personal aspects that you have a strong opinion because it was built from experience.
Yeah, yeah, so I don't know.
So, for example, I really like for I will say that I'm very opinionated because I have a strong opinion about the concept and the process of self-actualization only because I've been going through this entire process for 4 years now, so I'm quite familiar with it, and I'm very I'm very kind of almost like brass about kind of correcting like the world around me, not in a way that shouldn't be done, but definitely from my own personal world view, so that I can view the reality of stuff that really lies on the surface in 2023, which is pretty much everything, and the way that I obviously process that and how I output that as something that is valuable to like my world around me, my world and my people around me. You understand? So in terms of that, like you want to be able to tell me like a little bit more about that type of thing. So I mean, you said you're sensitive. Which in which areas?
So I think everything. You just have to
Yeah.
yeah, you have to think before you speak to me. I don't know if
Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So that's going to be difficult for every listener, to, and you must expect an any and all listener, to not ruin your day out, but they do sometimes do that. You understand, right? Uh, okay, good stuff. That's genuinely what I want you to start doing is looking at yourself and being able to let me just quickly accept, yeah. Uh, right. Just be able to understand that you have to start building this. Okay, cool. Okay, so you must look at these traits. You must start forming quick like statements about these traits. There are many more in this world as well. This is not the list of everybody and everything traits in the world. 2023 hashtag, right? But we want to like you need to understand yourself to be able to expect other people to understand you too. Do you understand? And that wasn't forced. I mean, that was that last understand was meant to be there, right? You will be able to describe each personality that you encounter in just a few words when you know how to. When you go through the process yourself. Like that's the biggest thing, because that's obviously your biggest, like it's always the hardest and the strongest and the most passionate and the most involved when you do something that is of yourself, to yourself, with yourself, right? And then it kind of becomes quite easy to definitely go beyond just the surface level of how to read other people, just in their tone, what they say, like certain words that they use, like maybe their body language, like the things that they are apathetic about, they have no feelings of, or that they are sociopathic about. It doesn't really matter, right? For so I want to get obviously through the class as usual, as you know. Before sorry, let me just get to the, went a little too far there. Yeah, I want to get through the class before coming back, which this is something that I want you to do for class. Like, we're going to start class off next week. So in other words, writing your character profile and getting this done. I'm saying to you, like for your S1s, you don't have to look back, copy and paste this, into your S1 when it comes necessary. Obviously, we get to the time, towards the end of the year. Okay, so we must now start looking at the value. What is value measured in? Value is measured in one, trust, obviously, discipline, right? Like different types of discipline that you decide to take on for yourself, that are not always forced upon you. So, for example, the world doesn't always have to dictate, like the why you need to be disciplined in certain ways, or whatever it is. Common sense will make you understand what is appropriate and what is not. To be intelligible is not necessarily about an IQ. It is more obviously about how you use that IQ and decide to like obviously again capitalize on that. Like, you want to be intelligible is someone that can read a room. And when I say I read a room, like the world is made up of infinite rooms, right? Read a room, decide what is obviously happening, decides what necessary. Also, obviously counter in like your own emotions, you as a human being, as an emotional individual, where you sit and where you stand, and which factors of that are true or not, or factual or not, or like what's what I was going to say, not respectable, but like but respectable or not, etc. Right? Okay. So here's character value. So we're going to now start to just use certain aspects of how you can capitalize this and blow up your character itself. So this is on air, obviously, and you as a presenter, or a broadcaster. So banter is one way that tells us, like can you control a conversation between you and somebody else, whether it be a co-host or like I say, an interviewee or a listener, and can you carry on banter that is purposeful at the end of the day? So there's a fine line that separates banter from pointless talk. Exactly. So waffle, or like just complete rubbish. Like, you waffle on is basically you trying to find, like, you keep talking and talking until you think you're going to find a point, but you got to come into this mastery of conversation, right? And it's practice it every day. Like, there's no need, there's no push for it, because you don't have the job on air just yet, and you're not forced into the situation of becoming more polished. Look at how you carry on a discussion, or be part of a discussion around your circles, whatever circles they are, and see whether you can control a conversation and keep it valuable, to be able to see how you can practice and polish a banter. Production is very important, obviously. Like, you do not have a producer, like, just because you now are entered into the radio industry. You have to know how to produce, not only technically, but also produce content. I'm just saying to you, as you know. Okay, so performing with passion is There's no question about it. Like, do you like your job? If you like your job, do it well. That's it. Finished. Like, you're gonna have bad days for sure, and it could be at work and it could be outside, and you really need to compartmentalize those things. In a studio, they always say leave your baggage at the door, and that's the best thing about it, right? Because there's so much politics that happens within the industry, within that building, within obviously, like again, like that craft itself, that outside, like inside that studio is your getaway space, man. You have such a great time. I can speak personally, like it was the perfect getaway. Like, you could do what you needed to do, and you do it like because you're one of the best, you understand? And that's where you find that passion of being really like, you've bought into what you do. Like, you are like 100%. And I prepped this stuff. I made sure that the quality was great. Like, I when I talk to people, man, I am loving the fact that I am having this conversation or interviewing this person, or I've come up with this great feature. It's so much fun. We're having like a good laugh, or like it's bringing out some great emotional like moments for each of us. It doesn't matter. The point is, are you having fun while doing your job properly? That is passion, right? Okay. And it's I always say, like, work from the back to the front, from the bottom to the top. What are you not like? What do you understand as being the opposite of passionate? You understand? To know how to define the kind of the infinite limit of where passion can take you. So knowing that, like 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 for example, passion starts to dissipate when you focus a lot on your on negative um aspects. Again, as I said, what's happening outside the studio doors. But also, I mean, you might be fighting an internal battle that you're losing at the moment. You understand? And it's hard to be passionate about anything if you're not like at the best of your ability, like on your, playing your best game, etc. So notice that you are a human being too, but you need your passion as ASAP, and you're going to do what you need to do to get to it. Okay. Character benchmarks. If you're not convinced that listeners react to what they know, watch what happens at a concert when the band plays a song from a new album that obviously hasn't been released. And we've all been to a concert, like a concert slash many concerts, where that artist tries to promote their new single or songs off their new album, and nobody cares. They go to the toilet, they go like have a couple of shots, whatever it is. Like, when they play the big hits, everybody is packed. They are basically like pushing to get to the front. Like, never mind Golden Circle. Everybody is now Golden Circle. So so think about the easy difference between, right. Like, knowing, like, you got to connect to a listener on the basis of how you understand them, right? So a character benchmark, for example, like, can also happen in terms of like this, not forced, but you might have like a little bit of like a saying, and people get to know you around that, a little like what do they call it, like little quirks, that you have, that aren't irritating, that are actually kind of like endearing. So, I mean, like, there's obviously, like, we're going to take Bruce Willis, like, what a great man. Like, unfortunately, cannot act anymore, because of his terminal disease. But Bruce Willis has been great. But his biggest roles were the Die Hard series, and his sarcasm in terms of saying certain phrases throughout. Um, and at first, it says these hooks seem insignificant. It doesn't. It starts to colorize, like it starts to put depth and little structure and some texture to who you are. And it's super important that people get to know more and more and more about you, because you are an interesting individual, period. Okay. Content and style is something that obviously, again, you will highlight and shine and shape, because you're not supposed to prep your show and come up with the content, obviously construct what you need to do the same way any other jock does. hence why you must get the job, right? Or you have the job. So you will decide how the listener inspires you, like their presence and the cause and effect that you have on them to be inspired on what type of content and how strong you formulate that content through structure, through obviously purpose, through point, and through obviously end game, etc. Right? Okay, and surprise. I'm going to say surprise factors as well. So it being fresh, something that's not spoken about before. You have new angles because of that listener. That at the end of the day, example, two talk shows on competing stations happen to be exactly at the same time, dealing with essentially the same material each day. One show is all about the personalities of the two hosts. They are natural, witty, entertaining, and generally likable, but they also fail to develop their content, have shallow opinions, and lack depth in their topics. The other show is going to feature the most prepared personalities. So he or she and he as she is a virtual encyclopedia, asks great interview questions, and explores content in detail. However, the show rarely ever gets beyond an intellectual form or phase of stimulation. And so it's informative, but really not very entertaining. So, in other words, they lack the connection between obviously them and the listener. One constantly disappoints in content, the other obviously disappoints in personality. Neither of them are good choices. Obviously, the one show is not better than the other. They are both essential because listeners respond to style, but it depends on the content. So your style is how you grab them. Yes, sure. Maybe like demand your presence in their presence, right? But it's also like seconds after what you say and how you say it and why you're saying it for them. You understand? It keeps their attention longer. Developing content, which again is I have sent you. So I sent you one, obviously the well-bodied call out, which you've I think you obviously covered that in class, but I also sent you like full show prep for 2 hours, I think it was, right? Of which I did, I think about, you'll see obviously because the news is so dated or whatever it is. So I wrote the news, did the financial indicators, did everything in there. I wrote everything to the minute of, and then you'll see how the prep is actually done. I do pray. I like the prep is perfect. You understand? So it'll show when I need to play a clip, where I need to obviously play a soundbite, where I'm going to take some callers. You need to develop content. I'm saying to you in the prep process like that. If you can be even more detailed, that's great. So in other words, for you, you do need a little bit more detail in terms of like making sure that you remain on the correct path of the line of thinking, as I say, because like it is only going to safeguard you from a show that becomes, like I say, a complete mess, or any link that becomes kind of like out of whack or goes off course or whatever, right? Nothing beats show prep. Nothing does, right? So because that means you've guarded yourself 50% for half of it. I'm saying on air, if you lose control, you have the prep to gain control of the show again. If you don't, you will spin. It will sound completely like horrendous, and you will fall and you will fail. Like I'm saying to you, as like that show will just completely like bust, go for bust, right? Preparation, concentration, moderation are the disciplines that we push here. Let's look at each one of them. Okay, I just want to go. I just want to quickly say, are there any questions? Anything? Angie, anything? CBC, anything? Teddy, Gossi, any questions about what I've been talking about? Everyone good? 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Yep. Teddy?
No questions, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, let's continue then. All right, so preparation, right? Just because we don't see the audience doesn't mean that they're not there, obviously, right? Because you will never know. You will never know how many people are listening to you. The thing is that it's counterintuitive to actually know, because the thing is that, let's say to only one person is listening. Let's just say one person is listening out of thousands. They decided to listen to you. Like, do you now decide to take that offensively? Maybe in your own spare time, you're sure, but not on air, because that person has chosen to listen to you. The other thing is, if I say to you, yeah, there's about 400,000 people listening right now you become, do you become this kind of like inauthentic performer? Do you start losing control because 400,000 people are listening to you, which is very normal, I'm saying to you, on average, for most shows that go from breakfast to 10 o'clock at night, you'll get within your 100,000s. So that's a lot of people that your words, man, your words and your choice of content for that day, your decision deciding what is important to them, they are going to make a immediate judgment call on. So does that scare you? Does that intimidate you? Will that break you down? Or will you start, like I say, doing the complete opposite, which is also completely wrong, and start acting out, maybe putting this alter ego, like standing up on quote unquote a stage, which you're not supposed to, and start belting out stuff that is ridiculous at the end of the day as well. Because remember, you're talking to one person at the end of the day. Each person listens with their own pair of years, right? The next step is to create a roadmap for each day. In other words, prep, right? So you gotta say, okay, I've got a show. I'm gonna give you a show. This is the time. This is the demographic. Like, this is the people, the type of people from the demographic that are listening right now. This is what they're busy doing with. So you'll know how to now decide on which talk topics, what content pieces, what interviews, how much music, etc. to play. And so from that knowledge alone, that's what I'm saying to you. For you to understand your composite listener is super important, but that composite listener also changes throughout the day and throughout the week. I'm saying their behaviors and exactly who they are, what they're doing, where are they doing it, etc., etc. Right? So we go out and we find out of this endless whirlpool of information, which is true. Like, there's just endless amount of information in this world. There's an endless amount of stories. There's an endless amount of people. So we can literally pick anything, and then you go pick the wrong, like the boring thing. Why? That makes no sense as well, because the only way you get to something that's boring or irrelevant is because you didn't go through this step over here, right? Let's go to the next one here. Okay. So if you're a gatherer, right? So someone that really is like in tune with the prep process as well, right? Like, you're a good content producer, and that's regardless of whether you're doing it for yourself or someone else, or in general. It doesn't have to be on radio. Like, you will be a master of observation. In other words, like, that you can't only just use one point of view, right? And then start a conversation from there, because that's poor journalism, just in general, like, you're an investigative journalist on air. That is what a broadcaster is, because they go out and they go find parts of, like, what their ulterior motive is, because every presenter has their own ulterior motive, obviously, because you can't define a personal choice well, ulterior motive without personal choice, and it is your personal choice at the end of the day as to, like, what you want to talk about. So you do have some kind of vested interest that is obviously has some kind of right-wingist approach to it, right? Doesn't matter. The point is that the angle is important, right? The definition of the angle means from the side or whatever it is, right? So you want to know that you are, at the end of the day, still covering concerns, worries, what makes them happy, how to spend their time, what they're talking about today, what's on television talk shows, if it's affecting, like, the behavior or the conversations that they're having, social media activity, influential blogs, whatever it may be, like sports stories, like anything that you can, like, you can divulge content from that is riveting. Go ahead and do that. But observation is actually how you really connect with the community, right? So knowing, like, not only speaking to, there shouldn't be presenters on a radio station that don't know anything about the community that they actually broadcast too, right? And we've made that. I think that was the discussion we had in the previous one about Cape Town. Like, let's say about how KwaZulu-Natal and Nkosi will not hire someone that is not like living directly in the means and in the center of what their like, obviously their direct obviously core listenership is. And that makes sense because like you really have to be able to quote unquote hear what they're talking about when you are walking across a shopping mall or obviously traveling in public transport or hanging out at a bar or whatever it is, right? I was driving down the road yesterday. Try say so there I was in my Prius driving down Main Street right there by the clock tower. So now start to contextualize things that they realize. So they're very familiar with Main Street, so that's in Cape Town. Like with a clock tower. I don't know Cape Town that well. So I'm guessing there is a clock tower there. Like you gotta start putting in some detail to obviously like say, oh well, I mean like that person, one of them lives in the clock tower or lives across the street from like they had their first kiss in Main Street or whatever it is, right? Or the fact that they're focusing on you driving a Prius and you're supposedly, I don't know, like a multimillionaire, I don't know. Get their attention in some or other way by focusing on these things over here. Right. Okay. Right. So that doesn't mean always speaking about South Africa for the South Africans, right? If there's like you live in a world, you don't live in a country, you live in a world. So what happens in the world is part of it is your business too. Once you have prepared the topics, review the direction that it's going to take in performance. So in other words, also like obviously you're gonna re-prep. In other words, you're gonna polish it all up. You're going to obviously line it up in the correct ways, but also like you're going to take it a little bit further should you be able to. So if you can see that you want to add on or there's a space or an opportunity to go and let's say interview this particular person, go and make every effort to go find that person, not the second best, not the third best, not the fourth best. And if you can't chat to them, don't chat to anyone, you know. So because only they will make that particular segment shine as it should. And so the thing is that sure you're going to say to me, but you don't have this type of context right now. in at radio in a radio station there's a database that's created for every time someone interviews someone or has something interesting with connections or whatever it is, like you will go and you will look at things that you'll type in certain obviously criteria. These people will pop up and you'll be able to access these people directly, whoever they are. Okay, so we're going to go to concentration. And obviously, discipline in Latin, the word discipline means to teach, guide, and instill inner control. Discipline is a vital part to winning shows and winning at life, definitely. So we can't always be disciplined, but you can always try, definitely. And if you're trying, you're way above the 50% mark of effective outcome. Do you understand? So yes, discipline. There's parts of life that we encourage you to not follow discipline, and in other words to create something completely new and against the norm. But that's a positive thing. To be ill disciplined or undisciplined, right, is not tolerated in no one's like sector or section in life. No one cares for someone that is rude, that doesn't obey rules, that doesn't perform on time, that doesn't perform as expected. So discipline is a given, right? But the thing is that also on air you have to exercise a particular type of discipline, which is making sure that you talk and you talk again to the point, you speak with purpose, right? Because you only have a limited amount of time and you also have a number of things to get through as well. That concentration is heavy. It will bleed. It's going to bleed you dry for the 2 or 3 hours that you are on air because you're present for 3 hours. You are not on and off like people are in other jobs where they go on auto like an auto mode, right, for a lot of the day and have to be present for only a portion of like what that workday actually constitutes. You, however, have to be present for 3 hours, and it's like working out. I'm saying like at the gym for 3 hours. You're exhausted after a great show because a lot of work is in there. Well, the moment you're playing music sweeps, like you're busy preparing for the next thing. You're getting sound, like I said, the sound bites. You're getting the voice notes. You're going through them. You're always busy. If you're not busy during the show, you're not doing it properly, right? Okay, concentration of force, right? We're nearly done as well, but we also want to have a discussion because we still have time. Another aspect of concentration is the ability to repeat messages without being redundant, right? So like we want to be able to recap, for example. So we're going to go to music. We'll do it like it's a call out throughout. We're having a conversation, maybe in the middle of an interview. We want to take some callers, whatever it is. Like we want to be able to recap. It's very important to recap, but not to recap in the exact same way as what we have ever said anywhere else in that show. You can say, say if you have to tell a story and there are 100 people outside a door and each person has to come in separately and you got to tell the story, retell it. If you try to, you will fail at making each time original. If you don't try, in other words, what your efforts are put in is to remember the facts, remember obviously like the kind of the timeline of the story, remember the important parts like the climax, right? You will by your complete nature, like your out of your obviously natural delivery, do 100 different unique executions of, because you're not focusing on having to read something like a script. You're just talking to people, but making sure that you are an information provider, right? So that's really what you got to be doing when you are recapping or you are, like I say, repeating certain information. So a couple more points. So take an ordinary sheet of paper, stretching it between your hands and holding both ends tight in front of you. This paper represents the audience's awareness. Until a message punches through, all efforts of communication are wasted. So if you do actually do this, you'll see that you can't actually like you can't do much with the paper. It's actually quite sturdy, right? You literally have to break, like you have to tear through it or whatever. And you as a communicator need to immediately break that barrier. Now ask someone to place their palm of their hands in the center of the paper and press down. This represents a marketer sending multiple messages. For a personality, it may be balancing several topics at once or jumping from one subject to another. Watch as your assistant tries to push through the paper, which they cannot, right? Because of the way that you folded now this papers particularly, it's kind of indestructible, right? So you need to be, again, once aware. You can push as much as you want, you can say it as many times as you want. Like it doesn't matter unless it's said in the right way or you've pushed the right buttons, right? Then demonstrate what happens when all effort is concentrated into one focused message and emphasis is applied to the message itself. If you use one finger, right, ask them to poke in the middle of the paper, the single focused message penetrates the paper quickly and easily because it's just paper at the end of the day, right? Like I'm saying to you, it's a very thin. I'm saying it's got a very like a thin base or whatever it is, right? It's just paper. If I can push it through with like something that's very enforced and very particular, I'm going to get through it, just like putting a pin through it as well. Many talent coaches apply this principle when introducing like a new show to the market by promoting single identity. It's super important that we don't get to know you as this personality that has multiple personalities. We don't know who's speaking to us right now or today or later on, because you're so volatile at the end of the day. You got to really bring me in nice and slowly. Like I say, the best way is how it really is about, like I say, the soulmate one is a great example, because to find again your soulmate is quite you can't just decide now somewhere on the first day this person is the one that was created for me and for like my happiness, my eternal happiness. That's bull. That's crap. That's crap. And so someone listening to you and hearing your show for the first time is going to say, I like this. This is really cool. I'm enjoying this. I don't know anything about the presenter. It was a nice experience. I'm definitely leaving. I'm not changing the channel because I'm going to climb into the car at the same time tomorrow, and I'm going to listen again. Do you understand? And they'll be exposed to more of who you are. They'll start picking up on the way that you do laugh, the way that you are cynical, the way that you are friendly or very like obviously inviting or whatever it may be, right? And they'll start liking you, right? As if they are making a new friend, right? And so you must think of that, think of it that way. Concentrate efforts on a single message. I'm saying one in yourself as a personality and a presence, but two in what you are saying in each segment is super important. We're done on this one here. And then I want to go back to like this discussion about the self, but also about these areas that I've chatted to you about, and where you're starting to maybe stress or confused about, you're like a little bit confused or lost about. Let's quickly do moderation. So a comedian must know when a joke is over. Like if you got a good, like a good stand-up comedic show, and you are laughing, but you are laughing so much. I always say this, um, like, uh, like I've watched a few comedy shows where you're actually afraid you're going to lose breath, like you're actually for real fearing for your health now because your sides are so sore, but you're still laughing. You haven't had a time to actually breathe in or breathe out, right? Like that is a great experience, right? Because this comedian or these comedians know how to throw punchlines, right? But they also know when the delivery has ended and when they can gracefully move on from one thing to another, which then you continue laughing at. But then a lot of aspects of a comedy show is build up. You understand? When you're sitting there and you're following the story and you're like getting involved, and that's how you land up laughing, but like a real laugh, not a laugh, or just a smile. Like you literally laugh because of the punchline that is brought to you. You need to do the same thing. Like you need to build up for as long as you need to. None of this like carrying on of a content piece for 45 minutes, 15 minutes. Oh my word. Like no, like that's we don't want to talk for something for an hour. That's lazy and it's boring, man. When the thing is over, that's why I say to you, your call out and your callers, that's enough links. Finish. 2 links is enough, right? Especially I'm saying now while you're learning. It's enough is enough. Moderation is knowing the balance of, again, like I say, those admin links, those basic links, right? But then also there's great standalone links, which are normally, like I say, either featurettes that have been pre-recorded. So you've gone somewhere, you've done something, they stand alone, they're also once off or whatever it is. I'm saying like you might have gone to specifically go and investigate some chaos and riots and whatever it is, and you wanted to bring that back to your show. Like there's no need to go and introduce that. I'm saying in a you can tease that in a separate segment and then just play it through. There's so many different ways we can construct a show, but at the end of the day, it has to be balanced at the end. So you got to have some times where you have to just take a minute to breathe and collect yourself, right? Which are again your teasers and your admin, and then other moments where you have to go all in. I'm saying to you, with greater focus and presence, etc., etc. Okay, so the longer it takes to get what they want, the higher the cost of listening. So too many commercials, the cost goes up. Mindless chatter, it becomes more expensive. Are you running a contest that doesn't relate? When the cost of listening is too high, the listener decides, no, thank you. I've had enough. Okay. So it doesn't only just rely on you, it relies on the sales department, relies on the programming manager and the station manager. It relies on like the producer, for example, they could have edited like something that is 6 minutes into 3 minutes and made it more effective instead of it dragging out. Like it depends again, like, and then it comes back to you itself. Okay. Um. First, I want okay. So let me just go. Um. Just give me a second, yeah. Okay. All right. So, just any questions around? I want to see like what like which aspect of us moving closer to being on air is or key points that you want to kind of just jot down for yourself as well, but that you feel that you really need like direct practice or direct teaching in that's I mean now by now you know all the elements that we're about to actually go into. But again, because of the answer that you guys gave me in the beginning of the year that you did no practical in second year, right? That's a bit of a problem because now you're going to sit with the first quote unquote time that you're going to be doing this. Also, we attempted the call outs in class, and you know yourself, I mean, even though it was a first attempt, and I obviously give credit that taking part is it's a massive thing. I'm glad you guys took part in it and you tried. You know that it was completely shaky, like completely, like far, far, far from anything that's smooth and silky and where you can be. Let me keep quiet. Let me see. And we're going to go through and first see what are the key concerns before I'm going to go into some of the, like I say, some of the practical. Yeah. Angie, what are some of your key concerns as you now enter the end of your learning in radio? Uh, are you there? Um, okay. CBC? CBC. Yeah.
So I would say something about getting like job opportunities, especially in radio where they say like it's limited in space and stuff. Or competition is high.
So that's your big concern. I'm saying to you. So you're going to be fine with on air, like the actual production of like going on air. So okay. So I want to address that as well because that came up, and this is why I sent that as you saw in the group, Mose, from the wife M, and I said because the thing is that we had this discussion with Nkosi last time about like getting on air is never going to be advertised. It's not. It won't ever be. Like that is something that you have to as a community presenter build obviously your experience and then your portfolio and then your demo, etc., and then approach a commercial station. That will never add, you will never see it on Indeed or whatever, PNet, or I don't even know the other job sites, but you know there's a million of them, right? Like, but you will see every other position from news, from production, from obviously from sales to marketing to digital, whatever it is. And you as media practitioners can go get those jobs. But obviously knowing realistically, like for example, if you've never broadcast news, they're not going to give you that job. I'm saying like YFM will not, like as a producer now, like you have a lot to prove to get that, because that producer is for the breakfast, if I'm not mistaken, right? And that is the biggest producer. I'm saying so that producer has to. I want you to just think of the logistics of it, right? So the prep starts the moment the breakfast show ends that day, right? They have the breakfast team will have a meeting together. They will decide and have a conversation about an hour and a half with obviously the manager, as will that will be most for the most part there and present, because a lot of obviously activations and sponsorships and a lot of competitions happen within the breakfast, etc. So it has to be obviously like very carefully plotted, and everyone needs to know their place, right? But the second thing is, and obviously the second most important but close to first, is what they're going to do on the show. So they will discuss that. The producer will be like, cool, cool, great, great, great. I'm going to go to it, and we'll start producing for the next day, knowing full well that over the next, let's say 20 hours or whatever, 19 or 18 hours, the world is going to change drastically. That means that producer has to go in at 3 o'clock to 3:30 in the morning, and make sure that the show is updated. They've got to get the guests correctly. You know what I'm saying to you? Like in other words, they've got to see what's happening in the world around them at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they've got to update the entire prep schedule and entire show, and start to decide what is and what goes out, and who is, and they have to get the people that need to be interviewed. For example, right? If there's a hard hitting news story, etc., they'll find them, right? So I'm just saying to you, like, that's just for the producer to have that type of competency. You have to have a download of experience, because you can't, like, a producer that comes and makes like 3 mistakes. I'm just saying to you, like, maybe in the first month you're done. I mean, you're done, because they're costly. The thing is that they will have an immediate ripple effect on the product, and obviously the quality of the product, which is obviously affected revenue, etc., listeners, because they're saying this is supposed to be the best show, or this is commercial radio, etc. So the thing is that even though you have the theoretical and we give enough practical background, you would only be able to apply for a junior producer or an assistant producer too, like at this stage. And they will happily take you. Do you understand? But you also need to be doing your hours. So tell me, like, you yourself, what type of experience have you had within the media industry, just in general? CBC, you can continue. Yeah, tell me. Got anything? Nope. Nothing there? Nope. Okay, I'm gonna go to Teddy. Tell me.
So I don't have any experience.
Mm,
I don't have
t-
anything.
Are you sure? So think of all the things that you've done. So don't always remember. So again, transferable skills is a big thing. It's something that we did in a previous lesson as well. So have you done any work for anyone, or even for yourself?
So
Re
besides school or
mm, Besides school?
no,
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 not yet. Okay.
no. So
So don't you feel like you need to go, like, you see, even if you go to and get a retail job, like, retail is obviously like I mean, you're going to learn how to survive, man, like, just in a job, because retail is ruthless, right? So let's say you go into retail, but the thing is that you show that you worked for a place for 6 months to a year, or whatever it is, and you went. In other words, you can use them as a reference. You learned time, obviously time management, discipline, devotion, like quality. So obviously, like, quality control, because you want to do the best at your own job. Do you understand? Like, you could have been promoted in that year, in that 6 months, because of your efforts. Like, it doesn't have to be in media. Do you understand? I'm saying to get a job. But the thing is that the industry is going to say to you, what have you done with your spare time? Because when you're a student, you have to have a part-time job, even if it's as a waiter. It doesn't matter. You'll see that opportunities start to come when you start knowing that I only have, let's say, I've got 12 hours free a week, let's say, and I'm devoting it to X, Y, and Z. Or I have 28 hours a week, you understand? And I'm going to go and do X, Y, and Z. So it's super important that you do take the effort, because the thing is that at this moment, and not to kind of like make you feel worse or something, whatever it is. An employer is going to say, I don't understand her work ethic. She doesn't understand her own work ethic just yet, because you haven't, like, it's something else when you have a boss and when you have, I'm saying, co-workers. Both are extreme anxiety slash stress factors, because your boss might not be a nice person and your co-workers might be horrible people, but you still have to keep going, right? And so they will question, like, just at the top of their head, whether or not you're able to, like, survive, what I'm saying, within obviously a work situation. You want to go to a newsroom, like, you guys are journalists, you want to go to newsroom. Newsrooms are intensely like stressful. Now, much like we are as broadcasters, as DJs, we have nothing close to the stress or anxiety and work level. I'm saying like the capacity of work that the journalists do. You understand? And they work 7 days a week, as you know. Like it's when you start out, especially, it's 7 days a week, low salary. So we're talking about 7 grand a month, even for a commercial station, right? Coming out, and because they know that, like you have to like now earn your stripes, and they will force you the 7 days a week with 1 day off every alternative. You understand? Um, and the thing is, again, you either eat or be eaten type thing. Because then you actually watch the journalists actually start to kind of like fade. Not all of them, a few, one or two will drop off, and you'll never see them again, just because it's not for them, you know. And think of like the pressure in a television newsroom, like even more pressure, like the production part of it, and getting those things up to date because of the, like I say, the delayed time. As a obviously as a print journalist, even more pressure, even more. Radio's got the least pressure, really, because it's real time, and so what you have is what to go with. But because of that delay in time, there's there's more pressure added each time there's a bigger delay. So print becomes probably, and again, it's my speculation, but it's probably correct, the most stressful on. And Kosi, tell me from your point of view, anything that that up to this point you have a concern about.
So I'll just say, losing touch with like what you want to do and all of that, because I think one of the reasons most of us came to Boston is because we wanted to be in the media industry, but as like time goes and progresses, you see,
Yeah,
you like you're losing touch with like with what you wanted to do because of the pressure and not knowing where to start and not knowing how to like get yourself out there, and just not getting enough practical work from Boston as a whole, because I feel like most of us came to Boston because we thought we are gonna get the practical side of things, but
yeah.
it's just not happening. And we in our third year now, and you're starting to realize that actually I haven't done much practicals. You're just getting exposed to new things every time
Yeah.
you do something and all of that. I don't know if I make sense.
No, that's fair to say as well. Any lecturer is going to first always do what might seem like a cop out and say to you, like everything that you do in terms of like all your craft-based subjects, right? You will have some kind of output. There'll be some kind of product which is supposed to build your portfolio, right? So we're trying to, like, again, like I say, with this current one right now and the next one and your demo, I'm saying that the next three assignments are all going to have outputs that you can use. I'm saying, right? That you should. Uh, the thing is, they're going then from the outside will say to you, okay, great. So you know how to do them. You've got obviously the proof that you can do them. Let's say you do these podcasts, they sound great, it's amazing, but you didn't continue in doing them. Like let's say to build, let's say to understand kind of the logistics around like not only just the creative process, but also then the corporate process of branding awareness, promotion, that type of stuff as well. And also again, kind of like where one fits into their own growth. Like it's something I'm sure students are very tired of hearing from the lecturers, to say that, yeah, but you can do whatever you want to in your own time. You don't need a lesson from us. I'm saying an instruction from us, which is also, it's also not really fair, because the thing is, and this, I was editing my entry for the radio awards, my one entry, and it's this one that I did with three final year students last year, right? So this WTF are you talking about? And so Dane was saying on one of the links, on one of the pieces, that uh we, like, the world is giving Gen Z, which you are, they're giving you a lot of instruction and they're giving you a lot of information. But the thing is that, and the first thing, which matches to what you're saying, Kosi, is that the fear of wanting to move forward. So in other words, like there's a missing gap between what you know and what is provided to you and the actual process where it's being done. In other words, there's this gap. Apparently, this is again how it was explained to me, where students don't know how to jump over that gap or fill in that gap, and so don't take a step forward. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like that you're getting the information, but you're at a standstill because you don't really know what to do with it.
Sort of like that. It's like, okay, I'm here, but I don't know if I make sense. Sort of like that. You have the information, but you just have like, you're losing the touch of who you wanted to be. I don't know. Maybe you're not ambitious enough. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. The information you have is not enough, or you're not using it enough. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to go to, and
But it's
stuff like that. Stuff like
yeah,
that.
okay,
Can
cool,
I
yeah,
add what Nkosi say?
yeah. Tell me.
Yes, you don't know where to go. Also, Boston,
Yeah,
in first, when registering, they told us in third year, I'm not sure if third year or second year, we're going to take you to companies like Y, and then they'll
right.
show you around how
Yeah,
to
it's
use
supposed to
some
be this. Yeah, yeah.
exposure and
Supposed.
stuff. But
Yeah,
no, we're in third year, we don't know anything. I was even asking myself, what's the purpose of BMH radio
yeah.
for
For
media
you. Oh, for
students?
you.
Yeah.
No, it's for you to go, and the thing is that if anyone who wants to be part of BMH is actually supposed to be allowed to be on BMH. Do you understand? Even though there's a full schedule, I'm saying to you but there isn't a sturdy schedule. Like there isn't a constant schedule. That's the thing with BMH. But the thing is that you see the reason why we don't publicize, just sidebar, PMBMH is because it is purely a training ground. Unlike the other campus community stations that are they broadcast a frequency. So the thing is that they have to have control and discipline, whereas our presenters come in the same. It's the same thing. I'm like, still, if you're gonna go and be someone at Vow or Tux or whatever it is, like you're still gonna start with not knowing what to do. But we have a lot more leniency in saying, okay, if you did a crappy show like 3, 4, 5, 17 times in a row, like you still can go and do another one, because like that's what the studios are built for. It's not built to build a brand. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, right? So let's say, if like now, let's say you guys start on and you do your shows, right? And you want more experience. Like for example, like I have one part-time student, that's third year, and she's already doing shows. Do you understand? Like, because I see no point in wasting time with one. I'm saying she's one H radio student. Like she's doing her first show. She did her dry runs like before the holidays, and she's doing her first show now this week. It makes sense to me to just get you in and get you started. You understand? Um, uh, but at the same time, again, like you must know why the tool. It's just a tool at the end of the day for you to get better and better and better. There are some people that are very ambitious. So for example, like Duma phoned me yesterday and said like he wants to enter for the radio awards, and he wants to enter for online. Like I said, if your show is good enough, just, I mean, that's the main thing. You want to be a finalist, you got to be good enough. Like then go ahead and enter it. So there is also a platform for growth and for recognition there as well. Now, again, the BMS radio is supposed to also incorporate news, obviously, like our news readers, so that the journalists can get obviously experience. It has to incorporate like multimedia and graphics and that type of stuff for our social mediums. Like it's got to be well run. As in my opinion, because it's the truth of what I only observe, that's not being done. So, for example, there's hardly ever a news anchor, and I don't see why. Like I don't see why. Like we've got great journalists, like right here, for example, that just need to go and be on air. You understand? Um, the thing was with, so tell me something. I haven't spoken to Jeanette for years. I don't even know if she's still there. Is Jeanette still on Boston or with Boston? So Jeanette is the person that you guys will contact, and then she will get you work experience. So did you know about Jeanette?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. So there's a person. If Jeanette's not there, it'll be someone that replaced her. Jeanette's been doing it for years. So what happens is that she is going to help you put your CV together. She will do a cover letter with you. She will, like, you understand, she has all the job opportunities, so the stations and whatever it is, papers, whatever it may be, will go to her and say, we're looking for interns, for example, or we have this, and then she'll be like, oh no, I got like the perfect 3 or 4 or 5 candidates that can actually go, you know what I'm saying, they can come for interviews and stuff, and they'll listen to her. They listen to her, like, because she's done such a good job for so long. Again, I haven't seen physically Jeanette or spoken to her for about a year and a half, because I haven't had the need to. You understand? There's hardly a reason for me to actually speak to her. You understand? Um, we there was a time, very long time ago, but it blew up in our faces, where the lecturers would then, um we would recommend, let's say, students to a station. The station would then take them, but then the thing is that, like, in the there was in particular, like High FM, right? And I'll in there, and I'll add some food for thought, and obviously I'll see you on Monday and stuff, right? Like, the thing is that, like, because KFM's not, so Neil was saying to me, like, your students are not pitching up on time, one, just in time for work, and some of them don't even pitch up. The other ones don't know what they're doing, like, they're actually giving like a very half-assed effort, and he said he doesn't want to have to tell them, be on time, because one, is not paying them, like, it's an internship, it's a non-internship, it's experiential learning, right? And he said, I mean, I don't, you see, and I when I pay people, I tell them what I want from them. You understand? They have no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But he said, I shouldn't have to have this discussion with you about them. And I said, cool. This was not only me, it happened to all the other lecturers as well, where, just particularly, there was a certain particular generation of Boston students that were really not great standard. I'm saying to you, right? I'm saying in terms of this. But the thing is that, why I'm mentioning this is Jeanette built. I mean, the thing is that Stacia didn't want to work with us at all, eh? She built back the trust. And the thing is that we also had star students. I'm saying to you, like, you guys are hard workers from what I understand. And the class is enthusiastic in general. I'm saying you guys, right? So these are good things off the cuff that I can only read on the surface, right? Um, but I'm quite sure that if you are given a job, you'll do it properly. Do you understand? But it will never come from a lecturer again, because the thing is that then we break our ties. You understand? So the thing is that no lecturer does it anymore, and that's why Jeanette worked super hard, because everything then went and became quite organized through her. So she's there, or she or somebody else is there for this type of student support. Um, Please make sure that you go and find out and inquire who it is that's doing it right now. It could be TK, it could be, I don't know who it is. I'm not sure if Jeanette is with us anymore, but definitely someone is doing that job. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. Please do that exercise for Monday, so that we start off there, and then I'll chat to you then. Okay. Let's say I'm going to do my customary, like, wave. Cheers. Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, bye. Have a good one.